Hello, everybody. Today's guest is a powerhouse in the world of branding, Rich Kozak. With decades of experience helping entrepreneurs, leaders, and organizations uncover and unleash the true power of their brands, Rich doesn't just design logos and taglines, he crafts brands with impact, purpose, and legacy. His mission? To guide businesses owners in aligning their authentic voice and values with a brand that transforms their industry. So get ready to dive into this and learn how you can make your brand the ultimate growth engine. So it is such a pleasure, Rich. I'm so excited to have you on the show. You are just a remarkable person and you just pump people up. I'm telling you, you talk to you, and I feel like my gasoline is full of fuel. I mean, just unbelievable. Tell everybody a little about yourself so they get to know you and what you're all about.
Well, thank you, Stacey. It's a special pleasure to be here on your podcast because of what you stand for and because of your own personal story and what you've been through that's brought you here. Absolutely remarkable. If you're listening to this podcast today and you're not following her podcast, just start now and follow it because she has got so much juice, and what comes out of her mouth is going to be so helpful, and the people that she has on and what she gets from them, it is going to help change your life and shape your life. So just please follow this podcast. Okay, about me. Today, I run a company called Rich Brands. And today at Rich Brands, we're evolving individuals' brands with deep clarity. Often clarity is missing and a brand falls flat without it. So we're evolving their brands to take them to their highest level impacts because they know there's more with deep clarity so that they come across with energy and attract those they really want to attract, with energetic longevity so they can enjoy for more decades what they know they get to do, and with divine purpose. Praise God. So if that doesn't sound like a regular branding guy, stay tuned because you're going to hear some things on here that literally will shift your thinking, your ability to connect with you, and it will inspire you to not only be really much more successful at your, let's call it your work or your business, but to realize that maybe that's not why you're here, and you get to create a platform in your business that enables you more easily to step into your real purpose. So, anyway, that's what we do now. My background is an eclectic, somewhat chaotic blend of unique experiences. From playing in rock bands and running businesses when I was 13 and booking bands and working for research companies and working for Fortune 50 companies and working in factories and calling on CEOs and working at a high-tech ad agency and becoming a global branding consultant with partners in 21 countries, and then realizing that I was addicted to the job and resigning and asking God to show me what he wants me to do. I was going to reshape my life, and then getting involved in real estate and way too involved in other things, and then realizing that when people ask me that using a process that I used on big companies for individuals to look into their hearts and write down the impacts they clearly see making when they get to do what they love, that this is God's work, not my work. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of running start for crazy background. I didn't mention the Italian and the travel and the backpacking and the violin playing and the whatever, but there's a lot. And I'm even an organic gardener. One of the reasons that Stacey and I love each other is because we eat cleanly. I grow my own kale. So Stacey, by the way, this is public. You were invited to the Brand Ranch in Hacienda Heights, California, and you will never leave hungry. And we'll sit here and probably solve a few of the problems of the world.
Love that.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so lots we can talk about today, but for very specific things that when you learn will shift what you do, strategies that you don't know exist, and guidelines that can really, let's be practical, save you a lot of time, and you don't have a year to kiss off. You want to get it, you want to do this right. So branding done right is sounds like double talk, but frankly, when you don't use all the double talk and the fancy ass words and you just focus on the steps, because branding is steps, it does get done right and it comes from inside you. So listen tight. This could be a blessing to your business and probably to your life.
I love it. Now, you've been in branding for decades. How has the definition of brand evolved over the years?
Well, it hasn't. What it is, it gets misused, miscommunicated by people who want to sell typically marketing services. They'll
Yeah,
say, they'll talk about how this will be good for your brand or this will help you with your brand, as if they could teach a course on the steps that it takes to make sure a brand comes to life. They couldn't. They sell
right.
marketing stuff. And so people think branding is what they think it is. So here's the first nugget. Write this down, please. Just write it down. Your brand. And I'm talking to you if you're listening to this. Your brand. I don't care if you own a company or you're a solopreneur. Your brand is not what you think it is.
Yeah.
Your brand is a perception, and it's not your perception. It's the
Mhm.
perception in the mind of your most important individuals or targets that you can clearly see impacting and you really want to impact them. It's their perception that is your brand. Think about that and write it down and own it. Your job, branding, and nobody has the money and time to do it all, is
Right.
shaping a consistent perception in the mind of those whom you most want to impact. And if you're impact driven, your heart will give you them one at a time. Hey, heart, give me one. Oh, yeah, that's one. I really want to impact her, them, it. Well, okay. It starts with impact.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
I've seen so many people, that they go by what they like. They don't go by what their audience likes. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things is that people, because they have a passion or they like something, they a lot of times they just don't focus on what their audience really likes. Whether their audience likes, likes a certain way or a certain topic, or they like things when it's done a certain way. They don't really focus on these things, and they just keep doing what they like, and then they wonder why they're not flourishing the way they expected to. And it's because they're not focusing on their audience. They're not focusing on the people who really like them. And they get the same type of audiences that are coming by and listening to them, and they're not signing up for anything because they're not clicking, they're not connecting with what you are trying to sell, because you're not selling the right way, you're not branding yourself the right way.
One of the things that is really basic in the world of marketing, and when you've done your branding right, and you have these target audiences that you really want to impact, and you've written down the impacts, you've also written down the thoughts in their mind,
Mhm.
what they say to themselves in their own voice. And there might be 15 things or 20 things that you wrote down, and you look at the list and you pick the most frequent, the ones you think repeat the most frequent, and you put them as a top five. Look, really effective marketing baits the marketing hooks with the care about language that's in the head of their target audience. So the problem is if you jump to marketing or you pay somebody to do the marketing for before you have clearly defined and languaged your brand,
Mhm.
the probability that you'll create confusion and misinformation and not get credit for what makes you outstanding because you're focused on the market. You might even, gave it to somebody else and they're using their language. It's not congruent with your heart. It's like, it gets messy when you put marketing before branding. Branding is the foundation. Your marketing, and you can write this down. This is huge. Your marketing, when it's at its best, is the execution of an excellent branding strategy. And that
Yes.
brand is the definition and languaging of not only what your business gets to become, but it's what you become beyond the business. There's an umbrella brand, and if you've never heard of that, tune in to some other places and listen to me talk about that's huge. Everyone's got one. We were all made by the same God with unlimited power, and there's always more. And if you know you're not done, you might be really successful or want to be more successful at your business, but there's way more beyond the business. So focus on that umbrella, and
Yeah.
just follow the steps, because most people don't think branding is steps. They think it's artsy, creative look and line and colors and stuff. They think it's whatever they think it is, but it's not.
I agree
It's
with
all those things are executional. The look, the sound, the challenge, the media, the message, what products and services. That's all marketing.
you.
Look, I sat on the board of directors of the American Marketing Association International for 4 years. I was the executive director, not executive, sorry, the elected, was elected to the AMA's international board, and with a bunch of people that were a lot older than I was. And I only use one word for marketing. It's execution. You've got to have the strategy. You've got to have the tracks laid. Okay. And then stay on track. If there's no track, the clarity's missing. People won't feel it. When the clarity is baked into the brand, when it's defined in language, it's
Yeah.
palpable. People feel it. They hear it and they go, wow, something about her. There's something about him. There's something about that brand. It's the clarity. And when it's missing, most brands fall flat because the clarity is missing. Most brands fall flat. Solopreneurs, big companies, they fall flat. They do it wrong. They think you need to be tricky, or they need to be cute, or they need to have a look and line, and
Doesn't
you
work.
can waste a lot of time doing that. Don't waste your time, please. Stacey and I know time is really important. We all have so much of it. So it's like,
Yeah, so true. Why do you believe a strong brand is the lifeline of today's business market?
it's the foundation. A
Mhm.
lifeline, I wouldn't describe it as a lifeline. I would describe it as the foundation, because everything executes it.
Mhm.
So when you've defined and languaged it, let me give you explicit examples of that. In the defining of a brand, once you write down the impacts you clearly want to make, the question, what characteristics, an adjective like technology centric or empathetically listening, some descriptor that you must become to make those impacts and get credit for. It's not just become it, and you probably already are it, okay, but you must get credit for it. Those get elicited from the impacts. In order to make these impacts on this person, you must be these characteristics. And then specifically, like in what way? So if we said, oh, we must be validating, that's not good enough. The answer to the question of in what ways is very, very important, and it needs to be clear. So let me give you an example. Must be validating the person, their possibilities, how we see them, the program we put them on, and the results they got.
Yeah.
So those are the three ways that we must be. Yes. Are there any others? Well, not that we must. Those are the three must. So everything, the characteristic are very important. In the ways you must become it, very important. So let's say you have 25 or 30 characteristics. And when we go through this process, most brands do, but you get to prioritize the top 10 on first impression. Wait a minute. I told you I'd be very specific. This is very specific. If you prioritize the top 10 characteristics you must get credit for to make your impacts faster, and you
Mhm.
must get credit for them on first impression, first of all, people have to be able to give you credit on first impression. You can't pick some, life transformational thing. They won't give you credit for that
Yeah.
unless they experience it. So that's a higher level character. You need heart characteristics like welcoming, like non-judgmental, like
Yeah.
envisioning, Like, encouraging your true self, those kind of characters, when they feel those early. So literally, let's say you're going to take new photos.
Yeah.
You need to bake hand gestures and facial expressions that give you, so when you caption the photo, it gives you credit for, let's say, the top 3 characteristics on first impression. Wait a minute, you can actually do that? Yeah, that's branding done right. But it starts in your heart. Those impacts that you wrote down turned into the characteristics, turned into the top 10. And then, it goes to higher level. It goes to categories of expertise.
Yeah.
Whole category of expertise. So give me an example. The man speaking at the health conference next week is an expert at mindful longevity, experiencing a younger brain as you age. Whoa. What time is that? Okay. Is that when you describe an expertise in a way that no one else does, and it has an intangible brand promise baked into it that make people want it, and it's purely you and congruent with your heart and those skills you have? That's branding done right. And if in defining and language a brand, you must create unique language that transfers energy. Yeah. That's one of those musts that if a brand doesn't have it, it won't come alive. It will fall flat and will not get credit for what makes it outstanding. It just won't. These are the facts. As I have been doing this for 49 years. I've also been married for 49 years, by the way, and 50 for Valentine's Day. So, like, I stick with things. That's good. Listen, most people don't see branding this way, but now you do. It's a perception. You get to shape a consistent perception, which means you get to be consistent across the board. Yeah. That'll build trust. Consistent across the board, not try this, try that, try this, try that, say it this way, say it that way. Bad. You will end up creating confusion, misinformation. You will not get credit for what makes you outstanding. Do not do that. Right? You want consistency across the board and unique language that transfers energy. And when everything is congruent with your heart, because you're the brand champion, and when it comes to look, you must have a positive, ongoing recognizability. It can't be like, oh, there's that stupid ad again. That's not positive, ongoing. Okay, they need to like it when they first see it and like it when they next see it.
Exactly.
And that's the visual part. It also includes voice. Your voice is a part of your brand. Audio brand is huge. There's a whole book about it in 2014. Phil Kotler, the father of modern marketing, did the forward for it. I mean, it's so important. Audio brand, it's part of who you are. Your voice could very well be a huge part of your gift. And people hearing certain words coming from you said, and I'm going to use with gravitas, with depth, and with knowingness, even matter-of-factly. Saying things matter-of-factly from a place of knowingness moves people's hearts and they feel it. That's what a messaging hierarchy is all about. And that's the final step of brand accelerator mastery. It's creating a message hierarchy of those statements from a position of knowingness. If you've never heard this kind of language before about branding, steps and the process and, it ensures that your brand impacts people's lives in the world. If you've never heard that language, it's because people don't know what they're talking about. I'm so sorry.
No, it's true.
And
it's true.
Don't fall for all that branding. This will help your branding hooey. They don't know branding. Okay. They know marketing. They know what they sell. And you don't want to waste a year. A year is too valuable. And heck, you could knock out a couple $100,000 in your business in a year. What's it worth to get this straight and do branding right and build and construct now your umbrella brand to take you to your highest level impacts and help make your business more successful too. It's like, come on. Yeah. See, that's why Stacey and I get along so well. She understands that The woman
I
has
did.
3 degrees in marketing. Seriously, she's so multifaceted, and she's a great listener. And sorry, I was doing all the talking. I promise I was.
No,
Go ahead.
not at all. I was going to ask you, why does brand first or die? What does that mean to you? Because you use that phrase.
Well, and that's actually the URL to register for our free 60-minute masterclass.
Oh, okay.
HTTPS going to brandfirstorDie.com. First, FIRST. Brand first or die. What it means is we all know there's more. You might not be at that point in your life, but at some point
Yeah.
you'll be going, look, I'm not done. I'm not, there's more to this. And I know I'm supposed to make higher level impacts. When you're ready to take it higher, to do it broader, to do it more spiritually, to do it whatever higher level impacts means to you, when you're ready,
Yeah.
you must evolve the perception. Remember, your brand is a perception. People
Yeah.
perceive you the way they met you. And
Yeah.
so if you're going to take it higher, you must evolve the perception so that people know you're the one to welcome in to help them with that higher level impact. If you don't evolve the perception, you might not, they might bounce off. And
Yeah.
if they bounce off, they lose and you
Well,
lose and the world loses. So if you're ready to take it to higher levels, you might not even know what that means. But if you're ready and you know, and maybe there's a locked gate to that next level and you just want to get through that lock and, build those stairs to the next level, brand first or die. If you don't evolve the perception, you might not be successful. That's what it means. And that's why I named the 60-minute masterclass Brand First or Die. It's for people who typically they've already had a life of impacts, but they want a story of legacy. They
mhm.
haven't done their book or the book. They haven't done that signature speech when they take it to a higher level. And now they stand for something way above what they were known for.
Yeah.
If that's you, pay attention.
I'm paying attention.
If it's not, just write it down because it will be you. And when it's finally you, you'll go like, "Oh, who was that guy?" Or I'm gonna go tell Stacey and find. Yeah. Okay.
I
Does that
love it.
help?
That does help. Yes, that does help. What does the first step to an entrepreneur, what steps should they take to uncover their authentic brand?
I truly believe the easiest thing to do is close your eyes. There are 2 steps. First, close your eyes and imagine you doing exactly what you know you'd be enjoy doing, and
Yes.
imagine what it looks like when everything is successful and you're only doing what you love doing. Other people are doing the stuff you don't love doing, but your voice is doing what it's supposed to do. Your body's doing what it's supposed to do. Your whatever it is, envision what you're doing when everything is successful. If you're running a weekend retreat that changes people's lives, a transformational retreat in some beautiful place, great. If you're writing books that people go, "Oh my God, no one's ever told me." If you're speaking and people stand up and they feel chills down their spine, whatever that is, you envision it. That's the first step. The second step is ask your heart when
Right.
everything is working. Heart, give me one. Give me a
Hmm.
person. Give me a type of person. Could be a type of company or type of industry, but let's make it a person. Give me a person that I can clearly see impacting. You can see the impacts you're going to make on that individual or that couple, and you really want to make those impacts. Heart, give me one. And
Yes.
you describe them. And you literally write the impacts one at a time. They first happen in their minds. They see themselves differently. Maybe you give them a new mindset, then a new skill set, and then they get new results, and then they share the results it's like impacts happen. They release things that are holding them back. Impacts happen in, one at a time, and you just write them down. When you're thriving, what are the impacts you're having on that person? You do that. That enables the clarity for your brand to
Hmm.
align everything you say and do with those impacts. If you've done it for one person or two or three different types of, let's call them target audiences, because that's what they are,
Yeah.
it just enriches the language that you have of your characteristics and your categories of expertise in order to make those impacts on those people.
Hmm.
That's where the clarity comes from. And look, if you say, wow, I never did that before. Look, we're doing it every day. I've got a book coming out, Impact Driven Branding, 7 Steps to Ensure Your Brand Impacts People's Lives in the World. That's why I'm writing the book, so that millions of people like you can have it and have the fill in the blanks outlines right next to it and do the work
Right.
instead of going, oh, this is too complicated. It's not complicated. It's just steps.
Hmm.
Um, I hope that helps. Those are the first two things.
That's very helpful
It will,
indeed.
because those impacts comes from your heart. God put those impacts in your desire for impacts. I believe. Okay, I'll just say I believe this is God's work. And when you are following your desire for impacts that are in your heart to make,
Yeah.
you're getting on track, heading toward that umbrella brand, heading toward your highest level impact. And it grows. There's always more.
Yeah.
So let's get on with it.
I love that. Now, how do you help business owners connect their personal values with their brand's identity?
Well, you heard me say there are 4 things a brand must have, and the very first one is congruence with your heart.
Yeah.
So the way you've been raised, whether that, what you've been taught by the adults who raised you, what you've learned, what you've experienced has given you a set of what you believe is important, a set of values and guidelines for living. And so if you do things or you allow your brand to do things or you pay some third party to do things and it's incongruent,
Yeah.
they use language that is uncomfortable, it's not really you,
Yeah.
you've stepped away from who you are. What
Right.
you get to do is step into who you really are. And so the process of starting with the impacts you clearly want to make and languaging that ensures, and that's the word that's on the cover of the book, ensures your brand impacts people's lives in the world. First of all, it ensures that the language of the brand, how it speaks, what it says about itself, how it describes its categories of expertise, are congruent with you, with your
Yeah.
heart, and that you feel a special feeling when you say those things. That's really important, and you'll feel it, but others will feel the clarity that you speak. So I wrote
Yes.
a chapter in a book called Visibility, and the chapter was entitled, yeah, really good. I'll send you a copy if you ask me to.
Yeah.
The chapter title is called The Clarity with Which Your Brand Speaks Shapes Its Impacts. And speaks means everything. How you show up, how you look, the words you use, the testimonials that people say about your impact on them, the endorsements people write for your books or your work, all of those things are, all of those things are, are align your brand with who you really are. So,
Mhm.
um, does that help?
No, that helps great. Yeah. Now, can you share a story of a business that completely transformed after rethinking its brand?
Oh gosh, yeah. Somebody asked me that the other day, and literally we spent an entire podcast on it. So a woman calls me, and her name was Mary, and this is real. I'm not. This is her name is Mary. Okay, and and she has this. She has a touch of an Irish accent on certain words because she was born in Ireland, and she'd been in the United States for a long, long time. But Mary calls me and says, "You were referred to me by a woman in a mastermind I'm in." And Mary is out in the desert areas, a couple hundred miles outside of uh, Los Angeles, where I am. So we
Hmm.
couldn't meet in person easily unless we drove along. The woman who referred her to me was in a network of mine, but she was no longer in the network, but she's in this mastermind, and she's another 2 hours in the other direction. And so she said, you're the best one. I said, well, tell me about you. She goes, well, I'm a certified breath therapist. Everybody's something. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what the business is. The branding steps are still the same. It's like
Yeah.
marketing. The steps are still the same. You just do the same. Um, so she said, really, I'm a food scientist. I have a PhD in food chemistry and proteins. And she says, I came from Ireland to do my doctorate degree. I skipped the master's I was offered, and I came over here, and I got married and had children. I stayed here, and then I became, I had this. I was like really busy because I was trying to be a doctorate. I had this. I was working for this food company, doing food science, and I was a new mom, and I had to be. And then one of my childs turned out to be a special needs child. So I was like busy. I was great, and I was walking with one of my friends one day, and one of my neighbors who I didn't really know that well, and she goes, Mary, you look like you're just going through the motions.
Mm.
And she said, I was a little offended, but I listened. She goes, look, I recommend that you try breath therapy. I was like, well, but she did. And she says to me, Rich, I have this business out here where I use like a yoga partner, and people come and I do this thing, I help them out. But I'm also I do sessions on Zoom, and I, reach people in Ireland and Germany, and it's like, and she goes, so I sat on the table, I lay on the table. In my very first experience, I saw angels. I met Jesus. I was told, you're God's perfect child. You don't need to be the perfect hostess and the perfect wife. You're already perfect. You're good, just the way you are. And she goes, I was so, I don't know, would you just, that was such a powerful experience. She goes, I told myself, that's what I want to do. To head with food science. Oh wait, honest to God. So she goes, and I got certified, and now I'm certified. I didn't even need to look up and say, Lord, is this a person that you want me to, So we got started. So her brand had a very local parochial look.
Hmm.
Um, Cute, but it was called Mary's Blue Door.
Mm.
If you go on the website, there she is at her blue door, looking out the blue door at you from her house. Right? Whatever. Okay. And by the time we got done Brand Accelerator Mastery, the umbrella brand, which gave her the opportunity to speak about things that are much more important in life and why you want to get back to it and overcome your being, at the end of your rope, overwhelmed, experiencing loss, whatever this stuff has taken you out. The her her brand is called the breath of new life.com. The breath of new life. Hold on. You know what? Hold on.
Hmm.
And its tagline is so compelling, it speaks to the heart of the person who's overwhelmed and just feels
Yeah.
like they've been taken out. And when you go on that website, there's a section called Women Worldwide. And it's faces of women from all over the world, all different colors, and they're all in pure joy. The smiles are like amazing. It feels good just looking at it. And it says, what started as just for women is now for women and men. And what you see below is people's actual saying what happened with them. And there's this testimonial after testimonial after testimonial from countries all over the world and states all over the United States. I heard her on a podcast. I'm in Germany, in Stuttgart, and I heard her on a podcast, and afterwards, my anxiety went away, and you're thinking, what is this woman doing? We turned a parochial, local, cute little business brand into a global brand. Gave
Wow.
a look, we created little tiles for the program she does free every week for anybody in the world, and then the programs that she does for a little cost, and turned it into a brand that looks like it will touch people all over the world, anywhere, no matter what. And wow, transformation forever. What a promise, an intangible brand promise. The
Yeah.
tagline includes the phrase transformation forever. So it's like, and it begins with the website above, when you first, it speaks directly to the number one, what's called the number one barrier. The thing that prevents people from bringing it in and saying like,
Yeah.
that is, people don't connect how you breathe with how you feel.
Hmm.
And it literally says, how you breathe significantly affects how you feel. And when you breathe easier, your life, it's like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. It literally overcomes the number one barrier and
Yeah.
allows people to realize this is there for them if they want it. And they didn't know that. They don't know what breath therapy is.
Yeah.
And now she's a global band. She can speak anywhere she wants. She's a wonderful speaker too. And she has this cute little accent. And yeah.
I love it. I love it. Now, what are the warning signs that show that a brand is becoming irrelevant?
Well, if I'm inside, this is my agency mind speaking, okay? If they say we're not getting the responses that we used to, or the traffic's gone down, there are markers. The nature of testimonials has changed, or they don't get them. They ask for, if they ask for people's reflection, and they're getting things that are sounding like they're not getting credit for what makes them outstanding. So it's really important when you do something really well that you get credit for it.
Yeah.
If you don't take credit, sometimes you don't get credit. So the marketing gets to be done in a way that takes credit. Like I said, bake the marketing, you bait the marketing hooks with the language from the target audience's mind, so they realize you understand their feelings and so forth, their pain, whatever. If you're not doing a good job staying in tune with your target audience, your numbers will drop off. The types of things people say about you will turn into, they won't say anything, or they'll
Mm.
say things that don't really matter. You can feel the energy is not there. It's up to us as the brand.
Yeah.
If I'm the brand, it's up to me to transfer energy. And if I
Mm.
don't transfer energy, I'm not going to get energy back.
Right.
Chances are they'll bounce off. So if they're bouncing off, when somebody says, like, yeah, we tried this, but that didn't work, that means they jumped at marketing before they defined in language the brand, and they tried stuff and it didn't work, and they think the marketing doesn't work. It's
Yeah.
not it's not the marketing that doesn't work. It's
Right.
the basic defining and languaging so that the brand comes alive and attracts when it does its marketing to get credit for what it must get credit for to make those impacts faster. If it hasn't done the foundational work of defining and languaging the brand, chances are it'll get the 6 bad consequences: confusion, misinformation. You don't get credit for what makes you outstanding, or somebody else gets more credit than you do, and they're not anywhere near as good. Competitors get ahead if you're spent a lot of money on marketing and think that the marketing doesn't work, and you waste time. And that's the precious thing. We don't know how much time we have. So um, yeah, the numbers go off and the energy doesn't come back. Versus when you change the way you say when that language is there, this is the response. Watch my head. I'll tilt my head to my side and take a breath. So let me give you an example. A gentleman named Frank came to me and said, I've been a financial advisor for 20 something years, but I realized I was taught to sell stuff that, and I don't do that anymore. I have this bigger idea. So we started Brand Accelerator Mastery, and about day 4 of a 7-day thing over 8 weeks, he comes into day 4 and I'm like, hey, I rewrote your elevator speech. He goes, yeah, let's see it. And I'm like, okay. So you're at a place, you have a badge says Frank, and you have this really nice tie, and you get in the elevator, and the guy goes, hey, Frank, nice tie. What do you do? And you say, now this is a financial advisor. Remember this. This is like, we all roll our eyes. Here goes, ready. And you say, well, seriously, for years, I served as a financial advisor, but you know how many of those there are, and they both roll their eyes. Ah, okay. I decided I want to serve people at a much higher level, particularly committed savers.
Mm-hmm.
And I created my own company, a special company called Safe Savings Options, using your money's power. And today, I serve as a saver's wealth advocate. Does that help?
I love that.
And the guy he goes like, wow, because he's got a real high power job. He's got 100 grand at the end of every year, but he doesn't want to hand it to somebody who's going to put in the stock market. And so he puts it in a savings account. He knows he's not doing very well, but he doesn't want to give it away. He doesn't want to lose it. And he just goes, wow, I gotta go, but can I have your card? That's come alive, okay?
Yeah.
That's different than, I left my cigarette burning and crossed through them, and they don't even smoke. It's like, it's different, okay, than fall flat. Oh, that's nice is the typical fall flat phrase. Oh, that's nice. And yeah, it's, whoa, or when when you're introduced, like the woman speaking at the higher level body conference next year as an expert at body intelligent yoga.
Oh, wow.
Body intelligent yoga. I've been doing yoga for 10 years on my multi-million-dollar house. A body intelligent yoga. I want that. Well, what is that? It's like 3 words. An intangible brand promise that makes her stand apart. Nobody says it because we created it for her based on what she's doing. It's one-to-one yoga. It's Ayurvedic food. It's treatments that have proven for thousands of years to put you on your personal track of health. They know how to spell Ayurvedic. They know how to use curcumin. It's like, right. And they're, yeah. So everybody's different. It doesn't matter if you're integrating software or you came from Africa and you're helping law firms reshape the language of the next generation of leaders in the area of diversity and inclusion. It's like, all of these are my clients.
Yeah.
How did I get in that room? They heard me speak and said, I think I'm supposed to work with you. But it doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter your business. You could be a coach. You could have created a method, or you could have done your corporate career, and now you want to do what you love, and you need an identity, and you want to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get the branding right. What does that mean? People say that, and they don't know what it means, but they know they want it. One of the things it means is that, because I've had people say to me, man, I wish I met you 10 years, because I have spent so much money and time and messing with stuff and nothing happened. I paid them to do this and that because that's the way it is out there sometimes. And getting it branding right for you from your heart, getting that right, and not just for your business, for your, for your consultancy, for your speaking career, for your authorship, for whatever you're doing, your expertise, but for your umbrella brand. What's that highest level impact you get to make because of the power that you've been given Fun, fun, fun. Woo! I'm just saying, oh my Gracie Stacy, I'll tell you what, it doesn't get more fun than this.
Yeah.
Imagine if we could all do that. That's remarkable.
Changing people's lives, you're bringing out the uniqueness. You're bringing out, because what people do is people use three, four words and it just blends in with everybody else every time.
Yeah,
So, but when you use those words like yoga intelligence, that's like a boom. If you like yoga, like, wait, I want to know more about that, because it's new, it's unique, and if you love yoga, you want to learn everything you can about yoga.
yeah, you bet. Mindful. Oh, the street business we created was called Awaken Yoga Wellness Spa. Radiate
Oh,
life.
I like that. That is nice. Oh,
Oh man, Barry Bevier, who's a client of ours, his umbrella brand is is mindful longevity, renew, rejuvenate, revitalize, holistic health mentoring that empowers lives. It's like
yeah.
I want that. I mean, I get chills down my spine just saying the words. It's like that
Yeah.
sounds good. I want that. What is that? Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah. It's
I
not
love
fake. It is pure access to your own authenticity.
it. Yeah.
You plug in to you. Praise God. Shouldn't branding be like that? I think so.
I think so. I definitely
I
think
think
so.
so.
You have
You've
to have
been
a
around.
unique.
You've done a lot. For you to say that, that's huge. Stacy said it. She, woo!
That
Yeah.
is awesome. What can a stagnant brand stunt a what can what can make a company like become stagnant and stunt in their growth? Is it just like what we went over today? This is it just the changes, just not seeing how everything is starting to change, or even like even if a product or a service is good and they start to become stagnant, is it because it's time for a change and their stuff isn't resonating because time is moving forward, people are changing, and what they were
I'm gonna ask you a question so I understand. Is that a solopreneur or is that a company that has employees that you just described? Because the answer is different.
I think I think actually you can mention both if you want to give an answer for both, but I was thinking of a solopreneur because I see it
Okay.
a lot with
All right.
solopreneurs.
All right. Well, okay. So let's do the company first because it's a quick answer. It has to do with leadership. If the
Hmm.
leadership is hiring people with the right heart and is sharing the dream, sharing the vision of what the company does, and the people are taking it on, going, yeah, if they're doing that really well, and they're using the neuroscience of leadership to make sure it imbues people with even more power. Something's going funny with my. Hold on here. That's just weird, but we're gonna fix that. All of a sudden, I got fuzzy. There we go. I don't want to be fuzzy. I don't want to
Hmm.
be fuzzy. Okay. Then the leadership is at fault. Okay. And they've allowed it. They've hired people that don't share their heart. They've hired and they've handed it over to administrators or managers that aren't on fire for the vision. That's what happens in companies. And you got to get back to the basics and get leadership, the people who have the heart for why the company was created, back into the mix and do it again. It's the old Steve Jobs thing. But it is what it is. Oh, so solopreneur, you know, if let me paint a picture. So a solopreneur that you just described goes to a networking event because they have to,
Right.
because that's the way they have. Maybe it's online.
Hmm.
These days they would, do a breakout group.
Yeah, yeah.
And when people say, "What do you do?" They read their statement, they stick it in the chat,
Mhm.
and and they just go through the motions without unique language that transfers energy and
Yeah.
without the passion for what they see for others. They literally start talk about what they do, not what others get. Okay.
Yeah.
So that others don't go, oh, wow, like body intelligent yoga, your body's going to be more intelligent. It's like, whoa, I want that. Okay. But they don't do that. And their brand falls flat.
Hmm.
And most brands fall flat. So what you described is often not a result or a phase. It's from the beginning. And it's like, and it's just not happening because they don't have the four things. Everything is
Yeah.
congruent with their heart, and people feel their heart. They are consistent across the board. They have unique language that transfers energy, and they have positive ongoing recognizability. They didn't nail them all. They didn't define in language the brand, so they have all four baked in,
Yeah.
and they're falling flat because they haven't. So what happens when you don't define in language a brand? Those six bad consequences we talked about. But what happens when you do? There is a whole list. Matter of fact, I do a workshop when people are ready to spend some money and spend a whole day going through the 7 steps. We do what's called a one-day workshop intensive called The Brand You Will Become, how to define the steps to achieve it. And we do all 7 steps. And I send them a workbook. And in that workbook, it has a page. There's 25 things that business owners, could be big companies, could be solopreneurs, say. I didn't make them up. I've heard them for years. The top 10 kind of go like this, and I'm not going to do 10. We need better ways to say what we do.
Hmm.
We're not getting the right people to our website.
Right.
We don't know how to position ourselves to charge what we're worth. What kind of content do you think our target audience really will appreciate? These are very common things. And there's a
Hmm.
whole, we use the top 10 in our half day. We do a half day every month called brandingyouwithimpact.com.
Yeah.
Just go and register. It's worth couple grand to you. You'll save a ton of time and money. We teach the do's and don'ts of naming things, the logos and taglines, and we teach how to create a message hierarchy. It's a few bucks, but do it. Brandingyouwithimpact.com. Huge place to start. And so it's like when people don't define language as a brand, you're going to get those 6 bad consequences. But when you do define language of brand, all those things, like I mentioned, we need better ways to say what we do. We're not don't know how to position ourselves to charge our worth. They go away.
Yeah.
The end or the beginning. Seriously, it's the
Right.
beginning, right? Like, oh my God, we don't have a problem anymore. Well, yeah, I could have told you that. I just did tell you that. I hope you listened. It's like, that's why in the world would you spend the time and the effort and the money to define a language of brand? Well, I can give you 25 reasons in that page in the workbook. I'll give
Yeah.
you 10 on Saturday morning or Thursday morning doing that half day, brandingyouwithimpact.com. And and you'll and you will get credit for what makes you outstanding.
Right.
Not getting credit is one of the 6 bad consequences. You won't create confusion because everything aligns. You won't create misinformation. People will get it and will take it and they'll write it down.
Yeah.
You'll transfer energy in a way that attracts and makes your brand come alive. Oh, well, I got to go, but can I have your card? Don't forget that. That's you. You want that. And, that happens online too. They come to your website, they go, bounce.
Mhm.
You've lost them forever.
Yeah.
But if they come to your website and it says, how you feel is directly, a result of how you breathe. And when you breathe easier, your life change. I, Oh my God. She just overcame the number one barrier right above the fold on the homepage because otherwise they bounce. You don't want them to bounce, okay? Please don't let
Yeah.
them bounce. So define and language your brand with clarity. Clarity is missing. That's the missing piece. Clarity
Mhm.
in whom you target and the impacts you clearly see making and what you say to people when you say, I've listened to your situation and here's what I see for you. The words
Right.
that follow, here's what I see for you, will make you come alive and attract like a magnet or fall flat. That clarity is missing in big, big brands and solopreneur brands. It's missing
Yeah.
across the board. And brands fall flat.
That's a
Hmm.
great point. That's a
Yeah.
great. Now, when it comes to, building a brand for impact, how does clarity in branding help a business become scale faster?
That's a remarkable question. Clarity baked into the way a brand shows up, speaks, looks, is spoken about. If it's introduced to
Right.
speak, right? Or there's a sizzle reel at the beginning of a podcast, that introduces it's like the way the brand is talked about, the way the brand shows up, what it says and how it says it. When the brand is clearly defined and languaged, the clarity is in the language. And again, everything aligns. People feel that clarity and they feel that alignment. They often don't know how to say that. They'll say, there's something about her that she just seems to have it all together. I love it when she says that. They'll point out things that are the result
Yeah.
of the definition and languaging that turn into what the brand says and how it says it, and says it again and again and again, and it doesn't change how it says it. Don't get bored. We used to say that all the time. I changed the way you say that's one of those ways that literally can, if they stop sharing the dream, if they
Yeah.
stop saying, here's what I see for you, they're going to stop getting results because
Right.
people, it's like, I could work with anybody. But, Stacey saw this for me. Dang. Hey, it's a big difference, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. Yeah.
That's a huge difference. That's a huge difference. I think some people, they have such a hard time when it comes to scaling, and they think they're not worth it or their product might not be worth it. And they're afraid, well, if I scale, I might lose business, and the fear is that kind of like, even though they have the great brand too, sometimes, that fear. But I think if you build your brand to the point where you have clarity, then you're going to have confidence. And if you have confidence, you're not going to have a problem scaling.
Remember when I talked about message hierarchy, which is the final step after everything's been done, including
Yes.
searching to see what competitors or what people might perceive as do the same thing as you
Yeah.
come up when you search for what you provide. That's how you write a craft, a positioning statement that makes you unique and defensible. After that's done, we write message hierarchy. Those messages are statements made from a position of knowingness.
Mm.
So when you say, look, the way this is the way people are like that, this
Yeah.
is what happens when, because of this occurs. It's like you say it because you know it, and it's written in a way that only a brand, only a person who really knows
Hmm.
that, what you're trying to get credit for, that category of expertise, or even just a characteristic, gets credit for that. Wow, that's a part of it. And so you say confidence. It's not just some feeling you have. The confidence is baked into the messaging hierarchy in statements that you can say matter of factly. Like
Hmm.
I say, Stacey, the number one message must overcome the number one barrier, or
Yeah.
everyone loses.
Hmm.
How can I say that? Because I know it. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But many people wouldn't know to say that, but I
Right.
do. And it's like we work on that first and we nail it. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes it's difficult, challenging to nail what is the number one barrier. I'll give you an example. We have a client named her name is Janet. She created a nonprofit called Kids Who Care, Parents Building a Foundation for Generations. She is an expert at building character in children, teacher for 30 years, used the national standards of character education, and she loved it so much she created tools and little tiny minutes a day games for parents to use at home.
Wow.
That's where it really gets to happen. And families become, there's more mutual respect, people see the good in each other. It's remarkable. And so she's created these books and proven tools for, and we're at the end of Brand Accelerator Mastering, like, what's the number one barrier? Well, she writes down all the things people would say, parents would say that would make them bounce off. Oh, I don't have
Yeah.
time right now. My child is too far gone. My parents didn't have any character. I don't have any character. Like, I could never do this. Whatever, right? So we come and we
Yeah.
weed out the ones who are not the candidates, but the ones that are in our target audiences that really care about giving their children the best. Why would they bounce off? You know what it turned out to be?
What?
The number one barrier for kids who care, guaranteeing you can build character in each child. And for somebody to go, nah, it's the perception of no time.
Hmm.
Listen to the language. The perception of no time. Wow. Oh, Stacey, that sounds like a great program. Oh my God, I got to get to soccer practice. It's like, we don't have time for one more thing. We just don't have time for one more thing. When you don't have time. So, you know what the number one message hierarchy message is? Today, and she was a single mom, right? So today, any parent can build character in each child in only minutes a day.
Hmm. I like that. That's amazing.
And guess where you're going to see it? On the homepage above the fold. It's right there. Okay. You're going to see it on a business card. You're going to see it on, she's going to say it when she's talking at the library.
Yeah.
I got good news. Today, any parent can build character in each child in just minutes a day. You got
I
no
love it.
excuses. You've got no excuses. You're like, well, no. And we needed to overcome. Look, it's just steps.
Yes.
It's rigorous because it's a process. But when the work is done, a brand comes alive and thrives. The business thrives, and you get to step into your higher level purpose. Praise God.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Can a
It's a,
can a can a personal brand be just as powerful as a corporate brand?
oh, absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of individuals who have made huge just what they've created. Coaches like Tony Robbins, speakers like the guy who does the leadership stuff all the time, the pastor, John Maxwell.
Mm.
And older today there are immensely successful Christian business coaches who help shift people's lives. Um, I have clients who are experts at the neuropsychology of leadership, and they will literally shift a high performing leader to even higher levels of performance for themselves and their team. See, they think the team has a problem. They're the problem. Anyway, so she works with big, and then she has companies bring her in to talk to hundreds of their executives. Remarkable stuff. Nobody knows her name. Doesn't matter. She's going to have a book series, high performing leaders best guide to whatever. It's a whole series of books. And absolutely it can, you impact one person at a time, but then it grows geometrically because your
Hmm.
voice gets more traction. People learn about you and they're bringing you in, and you're not going to chase them, they're bringing you in. You get known for what makes you outstanding. Your brand stands apart because you define and language it, and nobody says they do what you say you do in the way you do it.
Yeah.
So you're the only one. And it's like there is no other you, because the competitive positioning has been done very carefully based on what's out there and how you compare and what makes you stand apart and makes you really you. So it's like, absolutely. It can be as powerful and world changing as you want. And remember, God made us all.
Hmm.
We're here for a reason. If our reason is to touch millions,
Hmm.
don't hold yourself back with oh, that's not me. Oh, I couldn't do it. Don't do that. Don't have limited beliefs that hold you back. You
Yeah.
might have been put here to reach millions. So it's not up to you. It's not up to you what happens. God's power moves mountains. If you're supposed to move mountains, it'll happen unless you hold yourself back. Don't do
Yes.
that. Okay, if you want a really good coach for that, talk to Jim Britt. Jim Britt was Jim Rohn's business partner. Jim writes he writes this ongoing book called Cracking the Rich Code. Well, Jim is a phenomenal coach, and one of his key messages is let go of what you're holding on to so tightly that it prevents you from moving forward in your life. Just let it go, because the moment you let it go, life realigns, everything realigns, the whole world realigns to
Yeah.
what you get to become. It's like wow, and he just wow. I mean, I love Jim. But anyway, so, does that help?
That helps. That helps. So
Good.
what role does emotional connection play in building brand loyalty?
Oh, huge. The purpose of unique language that transfers energy. Energy triggers emotion. You know, the passion they feel from you, the honesty they feel from you, the matter of factness, even saying one of your message hierarchy messages matter of factly as if it, you just say, well, because that's the way it is. They can feel it, and
Yeah.
it will trigger emotions. I want to be that confident. That's what I need. You know, I think I found the right person. You're the purpose of the brand, defining and languaging the brand and having unique language that transfers energy is to trigger the emotions. We
Right.
trigger the emotions in marketing by using the care about language of the target audience. It reminds them of their pain or of their vision or of their dream. So it's hugely important. We don't start there. We
Right.
start by defining and languaging the impacts the person clearly sees making, because that's what's in their heart. By
Mhm.
the time we're done, the unique language of the brand itself, the name, the tagline, what it says it does, how it says it does what it does, the name of its products and services, the name of its weekend retreat, the name of its books, the name of its podcast, everything gets aligned, and it's not luck, it's a process, is to make sure that the response by the person we most want to impact, those target audiences,
Right.
is emotional and they get it, that it's really for them. Now, because a brand is defined in language with clarity, other people whom our heart didn't give us, and we wrote down the impact, other people that weren't on that list of one or two or three or four or five or whatever number of people, right, are going to be attracted too,
Yeah.
because of the clarity they feel from the language. So you're going to attract a lot more than just a few you write down to use as, you know, the ones that your heart gave you first, to make sure we get the language and the heart of the brand down, and the
Yeah.
characteristics that you must become to get known for, to make your impacts faster. You're going to attract a lot more than that. So it, you used the word scale earlier, and I made a mental note to come back to that word. So imagine you have spent whatever the weeks of the process, the steps it takes. You define the language of the brand. You've defined the language of the umbrella brand. So you not only have your business brand defined in language, you have defined language your umbrella brand. So your highest level impact, and you are ready for the brand to open its mouth. And
Hmm.
you launch the brand to your first target audience. Hey, target audience, the brand is here and it's here for you. And you do that for 6 months. And you launch the next target. Or you have all the money and time in the world, so you launch them all at once. It doesn't matter. But most people don't have a team yet. So it's like scale means build a team, and you can step away and you don't have to do all the things, right? Particularly administration, that kind of stuff. So you get through brand definition language, you launch the brand, you launch to each of your target audiences, and now the next step is, how do you grow and expand your reach? Well, you could add more target audiences. You could add geography. You could add new media. You weren't on these channels, but now you're going to be on those channels. Maybe you
Yeah.
start doing paid ads. It's like whatever. It's like, so scale looks different for everybody. Scale might just be do more of the same with people in lots of, it might be it might be plug into YouTube or the Great Adventure and translate it into 120 languages and
Yeah.
and be out there across the world, and make that impact. It's whatever is in your vision, but the world has all kinds of unlimited possibilities these days, particularly with AI. And so you can be in a lot of places you never would imagine you would be. Your words, your encouragement, your coaching, your trainings, your books, your podcasts. So scale. Scale doesn't have to mean build a big organization and have employees that now you have to manage.
Right.
I don't know if you know any realtors they were a realtor and then they decided they would become a broker.
Mhm.
And 10 years later, you ask, hey, how'd that turn out? You're a broker. And they say, I spend so much of my time babysitting. Okay. You know, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So it's like scale does not have to be, like big organization. It can be bigger impact. It can be
Yeah.
bigger geography. It can be bigger media and still managed by a very small team. It doesn't have to be all you. And frankly, let's not kid around. It shouldn't be all you, but
Right.
it doesn't have to be big, big, big. It can
Yeah.
have a big, big, big impact. And
Right.
these days, that impact can be more geographically diverse. And you can add new target audiences if you want. If all of a sudden you're moved to touch a certain, you know, type of person that wasn't on your original, all right, you know what to do. Do the steps. It's like seriously, look, you become the champion of your own brand. You literally now instead of going, wow, I'm not really good, I'm not really good at marketing and branding. You know the steps. Does anybody know the steps? They
Right.
say they do. They don't even use the word. They
Hmm.
think it's, whatever branding they think branding is, but it's not. Not branding
Right.
done. Branding
No,
done right.
but yes, 100%. Now,
So
how do you future-proof a brand so it thrives in an ever-changing market?
those are trick words. Okay. Well, they're trick words. So if we were talking about a snack food company,
Hmm.
that'd be one thing. Okay. Where, think about 30 years ago, you would never have bought a snack food that burns your mouth.
No,
But people do it every day now.
they do.
And now the hamburger people are like putting but those things that burn your mouth on top of their hamburger. It's like
Yeah.
whatever is going on. Okay. So, but it's not. We're talking about if we're talking to solopreneurs or people who are coaches or authors or experts or people that have a vision, maybe they do have a team, maybe they're already out there. Like, right, I have a woman who's a client. Her name is Patty. We'll call her Practical Patty. She likes to call it. She runs a bookkeeping. Boy, is that boring or what? No, it's not, but she does it. Bookkeeping is like, oh, really? See which column do you put it in and get it ready for the tax guy. Right, right. But she has 15 people that work for her all over the United States. They specialize in different industries. And so she takes on clients that want to build kingdom businesses. They want to thrive, but they want to give back in some really
Yeah.
serious ways. And her unique, she's she has some decades on her. Okay. She'd been doing this a long, long time. And one of her expertises is the tech stack. She stays on the front edge of tech. General Journal and all the things that are pasted on it
Hmm.
that a brand needs to grow quickly. You don't get that tech stack right, it'll slow you down and maybe hold you back instead of
Yeah.
rapid growth. So her number one category of expertise is simplifying the tech and accounting decisions for your business to reach millions.
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
Yeah, at bookkeeper, it's like, I don't think so. And I
Yeah.
remember exactly how I discovered it. I was like, Patty, I'm not getting what makes you different. Can you stay? Don't go to lunch yet. Let's talk another 10 minutes. And literally she said, I said, just paint me a picture of the first meeting. First meeting, client comes in. What do you do? She goes, well, everybody has a general journal. It's QuickBooks or it's this or it's Atlanta or something. And she names a bunch of. She says, but these days there's all the same. When you get in the tech stack right now, I'm like, wait a minute. Did a bookkeeper just use the word tech stack? Seriously. So it's like, yeah. So, but her highest level, I mean, her third column of categories of expertise has to do with kingdom impact.
Mhm.
That's her umbrella brand. She's a
I love
bookkeeper.
it.
She's a bookkeeper. I love Patty. I love Patty. Yeah. Oh my God. Talk about global impact. But it's not any. She didn't want just anybody as clients.
Yeah,
She wants the right people as clients. So yeah, um, yeah. I
I
hope that.
like that.
Mhm.
What's one brand in action entrepreneurs can take this week to get on the right path?
Wow. Good for you. I would sound like a parrot if I said this, so I'm going to say it anyway. There you go. Ask yourself what impacts you when you close your eyes and think, what are the impacts I can clearly see making when I get really good at this, or if I keep doing this and I reach the people I really want to reach? What impacts am I really excited about making? I really want to make.
Yeah,
If you get a picture of the kinds of impacts, like if it's helping children learn about money, if it's
yeah.
helping adults who were sexually abused as children overcome that and be able to set huge goals for their lives, it's
Hmm.
like, it's whatever it is. If you can clearly see an impact or impacts you clearly want to make,
Yeah,
that's a great start because now you're in your heart. And if
yeah.
God put the desire for impacts in there, you're starting to get closer to why you're really here.
Right.
And you'll bring your passion back. Even if you say, but I'm not doing that today. Oh, that would be so much. You don't start telling yourself it's not possible. Anything is possible. Just go to your happy place of what you could, if it's teaching children to skateboard in a way that it lowers their probability of injury. Fine, it's whatever it is for you. That is your joy. You're here for it's sharing with families who have children with a debilitating disease like epilepsy, the promise, the work that's being done, the things that can be done, how diet, mindset, and can shift a life. And I'm talking to somebody who understands that, I know. So it just go to where you can see impacts and you get inspired by them. And maybe when you have your eyes closed and you start thinking about it, you
Hmm.
lose track of time. That's a good indication of, it's one of God's ways of telling us what he wants us to be doing when we lose track of time,
Right.
doing something. And maybe that's what we're supposed to be doing big time, or maybe it's just part of the path
Right.
because everybody has a path. When I shared with you my path, it was crazy. And
Yeah.
everything I've been doing this 49 years, everything would fall under marketing.
Hmm.
I worked for a research company. I was in field sales for an industrial company. That was a Fortune 50, 40,000 employees. I was an assistant marketing manager in a factory. It's like I ran a high-tech ad agency for 20 years. It's like I created my own businesses at 13 and 14. And I was playing in a rock band. It's like, man, it's a mixed bag. I did get a degree in marketing international business, so I had that language in it. Kind of the degree helped me get the Fortune 50 job. But hey, it's a mixed bag. And
Yeah.
I resigned and say, like, I'm not going to do branding anymore. And then I ended up doing branding. So it doesn't matter. Everybody has a journey. Some people's journey is through a lot of swamps, you
Yeah.
know, abuse, bad relation, toxic relationships at work or at home. It can be messy, but we're all here for reasons and we get figured out. So we all have a journey. Oh, by the way, don't make the mistake of saying you're going to write a book about the pain. You know, it's like nobody wants to read about your pain. Okay, just don't write that book.
Exactly.
You want to write about what's in it for them that you learned, that if they knew it the way, if they don't have to learn it the way you did, you can just tell them that's what
Yeah.
they're, what's in it for them. So,
Exactly. True.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
That.
Yeah. Yeah. Start with the impacts. And, you know, like I said, Ben, when you close your eyes and you think about if what would it look like if everything were working? You write a
Mhm.
book and what would that book be? You know, what would happen because of that, because of the podcast you run, or what would happen because of this, if you shared your method that you're thinking about, what
Yeah.
would happen and why? And if you hit that impact, I really want to make that. I really want people to have that. They don't have it now. They need it. I want them. Oh man, I'm the one. You get closer. You get closer to it. So start there. Start there. What does it look like when it's driving, and the impacts you really want to make, or you can see it. If you can see it, you know, it's one of those things when you can see it, you can do it. It's just human nature. That's
It is.
one of the beauties of humanity. You know, the Brooklyn Bridge didn't just happen. Somebody had to envision it and put it on paper and
Yeah.
build the ding dang thing. You know, it's like what I mean.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. So true. Now, if a listener feels it's too late to do brand and to be in the branding game, is it ever too late to
first of
rebrand?
all,
Like,
it's not a game. It is a process and it's never too late. So stop that. Just stop it. And define and language the brand you will become. Look, remember this. You can take this clip out. Remember, now is the time to define the brand you will become.
yeah.
This is Rich Kozak. Okay, you can clip that and send it all over the place. You can play
Hmm.
it, put it on a reel, peeps, and play it all day long. Yeah, you're never, I've got, look, in the last year, I've had several people who are in their 80s
Yeah.
get a hold of me and say, I know I'm not done. Matter of fact, I have an idea and this is what I want to be. Or, I've written 20 books, but I'm not finished. But I'm not sure where it goes from here. They either not sure where it goes from here, but there's this common denominator that if they, when I looked at it, said, look, you're not getting credit for what you need to be credited for. Or,
Yeah.
wow, that's a powerful idea you have. Let's give it, let's define and language it so that you get credit for it so it happens faster. Yeah, I don't have a lot of time. I don't know how much time I have. Yeah, none of us know how much time we have. But literally
Exactly.
80-year-olds who get a hold of me and say, look, I'm not done. I need to get a better, rule. I need more clarity of where this gets to go from here. Okay. Yeah. If they know they're not done, I don't care how old you are and you think you're too old. It's like, you're not too old.
Right. And so,
Unless you think you're too old and then you beat yourself already. Okay.
oh, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Don't do that. Yeah.
Mindset. Yeah. Totally. Now, if you had to take today's conversation and you wanted to emphasize on a couple important factors, what are some things you'd like the listeners to take away?
Well, rule number one in life. Look, okay, so the book I read every morning tells us that we're here for two reasons: share love
Hmm.
and praise God. If we
Yeah.
mess those up, we got to go back to number one. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So, that's the first part. And whether it's business or personal, speak from your heart,
Yeah.
come from your heart, not from your head. Your head will do all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah.
It'll tell you should get a job and work on Wall Street when you've been taught not to steal. It's like, sorry. Okay, but I have clients who have said, look, I gave that up because I couldn't do that. Now I'm a fiduciary, and every decision I make is in their best interest, not in mine. That's a
Yeah.
huge mindset shift. Okay. What
Yeah.
they were doing in New York was incongruent with their heart.
Hmm.
So, yeah, speak from your heart in your personal life
Yeah.
and in your business. And when you've dug, when you've closed your eyes and ask yourself what impacts you clearly see making, and you find the ones that really bring you joy, and if you could do those and that would make you successful, and wow, those are the ones, you're 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 partway there, and your heart is on your team, and you were made by the same God we all were. So don't
Hmm.
forget. The other one is, don't forget to ask for God's will. If you're
Hmm.
reading scripture, or you're reading a book, or you're thinking about your business, or you're going to make a decision, pray and ask for God's will, that it
100%.
become clear, and that what you choose to do is congruent with God's will, your
Yes.
creator's will for why you were made in the first place. That's
Right.
always good. Good things happen when you do that. Things change because you get out of your head thinking you're in control and it's all about you
Yeah.
and you got a good idea. It's like, and gets back in perspective. You still have a heart. You still have the gifts. You still
Yeah.
have your success path that you've had, or your torture path, or whatever you've been on. But,
Yeah.
but, you know, whether it's fail forward or fast forward, it's forward.
Yeah.
We all get to go there toward why we've been made. So don't forget to
100%.
ask. Yeah, and come from your heart. It's so important. Um, yeah,
I love that. That's so true.
and
This is it's been amazing having you on the show today. I just love your sincerity. I love who you represent. I just your knowledge and just your enthusiasm when you speak, you fill the room with positivity and you had such great advice today. And you really, you really put a different perspective on Brandon, and I think it really helps people because I think people get really stuck in the old way of Brandon, which is more like marketing, like you said. You can't just slap a different color on and change a few things and think that's Brandon. It's much more, it goes much deeper. And, the emphasis on being unique and really being able to say it all in a half a sentence and really have it so eye-catching and and just to the and just be able to hear those words where you just want to know more and crave more for it is truly a gift in itself. So I thank you so much for coming on the
well,
show.
it
And
does it gets to be you. And thank you, Stacy, for having me on. I will tell you that the time we took when I shared with you about me, but then you shared with me about your history and where you've been and what you've come through inspired me tremendously. It took me to another level of energy. So if you're listening to this podcast, please, I'm going to say it again, make sure you follow this podcast and subscribe and listen regularly because you'll hear things that are worthy. Stacy's got a good heart.
thank you so much. And so do you. And I thank you for doing what you're doing. You're making an impact on a lot of people's lives, not just by teaching them Brandon, but just by just showing them a different way of looking at life and really appreciating what life has to offer.
Yeah, tell
I
people don't leave themselves out. People say, well, you've done this for 49 years. Wow, you should be on a beach or on a yacht. You know where I am? I'm on Zoom. I'm on Zoom. And you literally can go to richbrands.org. Don't mess that up. It's got to be richbrands.org. Otherwise, if you do COM, you'll end up in Nigeria at a trading company. You don't want to be there. Anyway, so richbrands.org. And it says, talk to Rich for 30 minutes. If you're anywhere in the world, you can get on my calendar and let me hear about you, your challenges, what your situation is. And in a very short period of time, I will share with you what I see as possibilities. And look, it's free, so don't mess around. No excuses, okay? This is kind of like that in minutes a day. Oh, I don't have time. Yeah, you have time. Make the
I love
time.
it.
Okay.
Is there any other place that they can find you, or is it all on richbrands.com org?
Oh, it's oh you don't no org org
Yep.
richbrands.org area. Yeah. Well, if you're not ready to get on my calendar and speak to me face to face, and you just want to, hear more, come to one of our 60-minute master classes. Type in brandfirstorDie.com, first F-I-R-S-T, brandfirstorDie.com. Sign up for the 60-minute masterclass. Brandpowerhour.com, 60-minute masterclass. If you're more ready than just, want to double your feet, you want to get going, you want to understand what it means to define language of brand, you need to come to our half day. We do a half day every month called Branding You with Impact. Oh, let me think about that URL. It's brandingyouwithimpact.com. Are you
Mhm.
surprised? Yeah. And spend the $97. It's worth thousands. It literally could save you tens of thousands in doing things like naming things and having to redo work and having to get it right. Sometimes that
Yeah.
takes years. You can blow a lot of money, a lot of time. Just come and learn what you learn. It will be a blessing to your business. And I believe it'll be a blessing to your life. So brandingyouwithimpact.com. So those are 4 ways. You want to talk to me in person, get on my calendar. You want to hear some, get in and meet some people who are in this really, really uplifting, healthy community that is Rich Brands. Show up at the half day, brandingyouwithimpact.com. We always have clients that hop on and say, look, here's what I learned. Like, wow, look, you'll, you'll hear it. You'll understand.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much. This has been amazing. And I really appreciate you and everything that you're doing. You're just a true blessing. You definitely are a true blessing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Stacey. Thanks for having me.